so special. My sister had surprised me and my mom with a sudden gift of 2 tickets to ballet. I like ballet. That's what I thought before because I had seen many performances. But after this one, I realized I love ballet Cassini. Oleg was born in an aristocratic Russian-Italian family and was already a famous designer when he moved from Europe to America to conquer Hollywood. He collaborated with many stars, including Marilyn Monroe, Grace Kelly, who he was engaged to. But it was his collaboration with the First Lady that transformed not only the wardrobe of how a First Lady should look, but also the way Americans thought about fashion itself. Of course, even before Jacqueline Kennedy entered the White House, First Ladies were certainly expected to dress well, and they did. But fashion was not considered part of diplomacy or national identity. Jackie Kennedy changed that completely. She understood that every public appearance would be photographed, printed in newspapers around the world, and remembered for decades. When John Kennedy was campaigning for president, Jacqueline wanted a wardrobe that looked sophisticated but unmistakably American. She admired the French couture designers like Christian Dior or Hubert de Givenchy. Their creations were immaculate, but she understood that the wife of a presidential candidate and later First Lady, she would be criticized if she appeared to rely entirely on Parisian fashion, and so Cassini became the perfect solution. He once described his role as creating a total look and named Jackie as his greatest creation of all. He studied every detail: hats, gloves, handbags, jewelries and shoes, even proportions that would photograph best. He studied different materials, and together they for